Hello, my name is Mark Dijsels and welcome to the Alzheimer LightShaft system 1.5.3. One of the biggest changes in this version is a new user interface in the inspector. As you can see, it now exists out of 3 phases, 1, 2 and 3, and they all go by their own set of settings. Also, one of the new additions is the tooltips. When you hover over an item or something inside the inspector, the system itself will show a message about a detailed explanation of that setting and what it exactly does. This is done so that the user doesn't have to open the manual over and over again, and it's just better for the ease of use. Also, because of the phases, the user can now just follow step by step what to do. For instance, when we want to set up this window, we want a normal square cast because it's a window, so we don't select anything. We close it and then we go to the second one, and as you can see in the description, this contains the shaft color, range, collision and cast settings. And if you open it up, you get a very familiar look as to the previous system. It's the same settings, but all has been redirected into an editor script. Also, the sample color now has hidden options. If you enable it, it will show the options that was previously always there. But since if it's disabled, you don't need these two, they will be hidden. Also, it's same for the range. At the moment, the range is set manually to 20 units. If you want to use a light source as a range, you can select it, and it will switch out the manual settings for the light source. And then it will use the maximum range of that light source. For instance, if your spotlight goes 6 units, it will cast a shaft to 6 units. The same goes for every setting with the explanation, the shaft width, the random height. Also in phase 1, some of the casting type overrides some of the next settings, but if you read the description, it will say which settings will be overridden, so you won't bump into any surprises. And last but not least are the optimization settings in phase 3. This has one new addition, which is mobile support or shared material. What it does is it changes the way materials are set up. In general, each shaft will get its own material. This is because when you use real-time color sampling, each shaft needs its own material to sample the color behind it. Of course, we note that this window isn't sampling any color from behind it. We only have the 2 main colors that we have set up, so the shaft color and the warmth. So color sampling is off, so what we are going to do is just enable mobile, even though it's for a PC build, it doesn't matter, because it will use a shared material since everything is using the same color. So we're not using it for mobile, we're using it for the shared material at this moment. What it does then is simply it will enable that you can cast more shafts. This projector uses real-time color sampling, so if I would put mobile on there, let's do a normal cast first. See, it samples the color of the disk behind it, and the shafts will copy that color. What will happen if I enable mobile, which is not compatible with real-time sampling? If we cast the shafts, you will see that it is automatically turned off. So you cannot make a mistake with leaving real-time color sampling on, because it will be automatically turned off if you enable mobile. So we put it back on and we make a cast. Also, one of the new features, as you can see here, is the new Falloff. The Falloff is basically how sharp the light will be when it collides. The more you put it to the left, the softer it will become. The more you put it to the right, the sharper it will become. As you can see here. If you go in game, you can see the changes applied. As you can see, the bug of the light shafts. Oh, sorry, the in-game chat is passing by. As you can see, the light shafts no longer have the glitch or the bug that the shaft is scaled in 2 directions. The UV mapping now takes into account the distance and the length of the shaft when colliding, so it will collide correctly as light should do. With the now sharp settings of the collision, you can see that the light actually hits the object on spot and no longer has the soft edge around it. Okay, so let's put this one off for the moment and the normal window. On the second one, the window with high density, I've enabled mobile, and as I said before, the mobile will use shared materials, and this also makes it possible to greatly increase the amount of shaft casted. For in this window, with mobile off, you will see that the shaft bar of the light shaft bar is full at above 100, like 270 at the moment, and it will say that it will be pretty heavy because the bar is full. If I put mobile on, like here below, you will see that it can support over 1000 shafts, and also it generates them much faster. And this is all due to the chat materials, because a lot of draw calls will get batched and simplified because it's one material. So let's set the Falloff. This looks pretty good actually. Maybe this is too sharp. Yeah, it hits the ground a little bit too hard, so let's just turn it back a little bit. There we go. I do want them to hit the object. So this looks decent. So let's go in game and see what it gives with 1200 chests. So as you can see, the performance is basically the same as with the 270 of the normal shafts. Only because of the high amount of shafts, you will see that it will look much more realistic because everything is much more dense. Of course, always the largest amount of shafts, you have to compensate the shaft distance for it. For instance, the normal window has 15 by 18 shafts with a space of 0.15, while the high density has 30 by 40 shafts with a shaft space of only 0.068. Always make sure your width fills up the gaps between shaft distances, otherwise you will get too much lining. I'll just give an example. This is a nice fill up with the width, with the standard width. But if I should decrease it to 0.5 or so, let's increase intensity a bit, you will see that lots of string lines can appear. Now you might want this maybe for an underwater level or something, but in this case I do not want this, so I'm gonna put it back to normal. Also, the smooth option is placed under the optimizations because it prevents the moire effect that can happen when, here we want that effect because of the type of window. But I always keep smooth on, because if it collides against a window, it would copy the shape anyway, so it's better to leave smooth on. Mobile only if you want, if you know you're not going to use real-time color sampling. Or if you want to have mobile builds, which, mobile builds do not support color sampling at all, so. I hope you have fun with the new system. I hope this wasn't too confusing. And have fun with the new version. See ya.